Hello guys, Chris here with Chris's Granite Paradise. We're looking at the Tower of Babel sculpture, and the only reason I'm mentioning it is because those of you who have watched that video, you might remember that that top section used to be right here. There, well, the base still remains. This is, I've explained in a few of the sculpture videos that I put them on a large base. So there's this piece of stone, and then I believe there's one that's even bigger underneath it. And so I'm going to use this for a new sculpture. I have very little granite remaining that I have not used. And I also am starting to have a surplus of rocks with natural rocks that I don't have anywhere to put. So I'm going to kill two birds with one stone. I'm going to use up this pile. Maybe some of that material there. And then I also have, go way over here, I have a pile of smaller odds and ends left here, and that's pretty much all I have remaining, you know, because I don't work in the granite business anymore, so I'm not bringing any more granite. And what I want to do with those is create something similar to this. So maybe 10 years ago, 12 years ago, something like that, I ended up with, again, what I call odds and ends. Pieces that I don't have very many of, and then I figure out a way to combine them into a nice looking, basically a glorified shelf, for lack of a better term. And that sculpture there is similar. So the first step, I want to try to capture this whole process on video. This sculpture is going to be a little different because it's smaller, but it's also going to be a little more complicated. For example, again, returning to the Tower of Babel. That's a very simple sculpture in terms of all the pieces are circles and they're all the same size. And then the top section, all the pieces are ovals of a certain size. So there's only two sizes. Well, maybe three if you include the very top circle that I put on there. This sculpture is going to be about 15 different sizes and shapes. So the first thing I need to do is, and this is true with all the sculptures that you see here, obviously the first step is getting all the pieces here, which takes literally 10 years, no exaggeration. And then you sort them all by size and shape, and then you need to sort them by thickness, because they're all different thicknesses. And if you look here, again using this as an example, every one of those layers, they need to be the same thickness, otherwise the thing is wobbly. So I have to go through all those and sort them into thicknesses. And I usually end up, like, with out of that pile, I'll probably end up with 5, maybe 6 thicknesses. So the first thing I'm going to do, since they are all different shapes, is I'm going to sort them by thickness. So what you're going to see me do, I'm going to do a time lapse of it. And it might take a few weeks. I might not get it all done. You know, obviously it's not going to be all done today. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my camera right here, filming this area here. I'm going to bring the pieces over. I'll lay like this piece here. I'm going to lay a few odds and ends pieces that I know I'm not going to use in the sculpture. I'll lay them on my wall there so I don't scratch up my wall. And then the process is basically just laying one piece on there and then grabbing another piece, butting it up against it. If they're the same, it goes in pile A. If they're not the same, it goes in the next pile, and so on. And so let's start with that. stick with me, and I'll be talking with you after that step is done. But this pair of work pants has come to its end. It has paid the price. It has fought the good fight. So much granite has been moved with this pair of pants. And it is now done. Anyway, today I'm going to bring the pile from, now you can't see it from here, but I'm going to bring that pile over and add it to this. That's the next step. I'm going to try to get that all done today. Amen, especially with coffee. Hey, just taking a break here, guys. Wanted to explain one little detail, and I've done this pretty much with all the sculptures. So these are what I call ugly pieces, or pieces that don't really match the others, but they're still good enough. I always assume the bottom 2 or 3 layers of any given sculpture are really not going to be visible because of gravel and grass maybe that grows up. So these, you might recognize, these are the pieces I tore up from the patio over there when I redid the patio last summer. You remember I explained the old patio. Well, these are most of the pieces, and I probably won't use all of them, but I brought them all over here just in case, because those are going to be the bottom probably 3 layers here. It just gives me a little more height and uses up material that I really don't have another use for. I do want to save a few of them because out in front of the house we have pathways and along the driveway and stuff. And so if those ever break, since those are of these same shapes, I can replace them. So I'm going to take a break right now and build those bottom few layers. Okay, so I promised you guys I would try to catch every detail of the building of this sculpture. And here we see a glaring error. I'm sorry I'm shaking, I'm exhausted. But tell me, I don't know if you can see what it is. Maybe mention it in the comments if you see it before I say it. Be honest. The nearest stack on top, you could see, I didn't even notice when I was doing them. You can see that it's different than the other 3. See, there's 4 in the stack and the one on top is smaller. So like I said, since these are odds and ends, as I call them, they're really not much good for anything else, and I'm trying to use them up. So I'll just move that stack off again and put it on the bottom. And I'll put the best side toward the outside, obviously, and whatever gap there is will be on the inside. And that's how it was with all of these. You gotta try to catch those little differences before you get 4 feet high. All right, here we are at day 3. As is typically the case in a more complex design, I have changed my mind. So I'm going to take this all apart, and I'm going to add in these much larger pieces for the bottom. And I think that'll give us a better looking base, and it'll also give us some more height. And I didn't realize I have so many of them, so they're no longer quite odds and ends. They actually, there's enough of them to match. So um, again, this is typical. I have many times gotten about 2 feet high, and then I change my mind and I get to take it all apart again. So stick with me here. This is a lot of fun. I think it'll be worth it in the end. Hey guys, thanks for sticking with me. I thought I would get this all done in one video, but it's turning out to be more complex, and which is really cool because it's going to give me an awesome place to put a lot of rocks. I think in this first video we figured out the base. A couple things I figured out was that I do want it at right angles to the, or perpendicular, or I guess the word would be parallel to the sculpture that's next to it. And also I ended up with a lot more of these angular pieces, the pieces where I cut the corners like this, than I thought. So instead of being considered odds and ends, they actually fit quite well and make a very nice base for what might be a little larger sculpture than I was thinking. The rest of the material that's remaining, still a little pile over in the far corner, and then what's on the wall here is mostly cut with the CNC machine, which is similar to this. You can see it cuts with a router bit as opposed to a grinder blade, so it gives you a different shape of piece and also just different character. The other thing noteworthy is this whole lower section is only natural stone, whereas much of the newer stuff is synthetic quartz, as it's called in the industry. So I like the idea that the base captures that history. So I think we made some good changes. I originally hoped to do this all in one video, but I'm going to break it up into 2, maybe even 3, because it's still a very long way to go. I mean, if I change my mind as much in the top section as I did in the bottom, it'll take me all summer. I'm going to try not to do that. Thanks for joining me. Please like, share, and subscribe. Come visit sometime. This is lots of fun. And again, this is probably the last full-scale sculpture I'm doing. That's why I'm trying to capture it all on video. God bless you guys. Hope to see you soon.